Hello students, we have learned how to factorize quadratic expression using the boxed method, grouping terms. In this video, we're going to learn how to use completing the square method to factorize quadratic expressions. Do get ready a pen and some papers and practice along with me. Right, so we have learned how to solve quadratic equation using the boxed method. Supposing that we are given an equation that it's in the completed square form. This is called the completed square. So wouldn't it be easy for us to solve the quadratic equation? For example, in this case here, in part A, we are given x squared equals to 16. So x squared is a completed square form. It's just x plus 0 to the power of 2 equals to 16. Where r it's 0 and then s is equals to 16. So what are the possible values of x that when you square it, you get the number 16? Yes, one possible values will be -4 times -4. Another possible values will be 4 times 4. How do you get this value 4? That is when you square root 16. Square root 16 gets 4. So therefore, to solve x squared equals to 16, the two possible values for x will be 4 or -4. Let's look at part B. So for part B, we see that this is already expressed in the completed square format. So square root 25 will be 5. So therefore, the x plus 3 is equals to 5 or -5. And to solve it, we can minus 3 on both sides to get x equals to 5 minus 3. That gives you 2. Or x equals to -5 minus 3. That gives you -8. Let's look at part C. Right, so for part C, we can't do it this way. Right, because if you were to go back to what we have written here, solving equations of the form must be such that the coefficient here has to be 1. Then you can just square root s. Right. Therefore, to do that, we will have to divide both sides by 2. Okay? So that we make the coefficients of the completed square form 1. And then square root of 89 over 2 is 6.671. So it can be a positive value or a negative value. And when we add 6 to both sides, and then we express our answer to 3 significant figures. By giving you the answers, would you be able to generate the equations? If you can't, don't worry. These are the questions. So do try to solve it. And if you can't get the answer, go back and look at the previous slides and look at how we solve it. Right, before I jump into showing you how to do completing the square method, let's look at the features of the completed square factor. X squared plus 6x plus 5 can be factorized into bracket x plus 3 close bracket squared minus 4. So this is a completed square. Let's look at another question. 2x squared plus 14x plus 5, when after applying the completed square method, we end up having 2 bracket x plus 3.5 close bracket to the power of 2 minus 19.5. And the one that I've circled is the completed square factor. So therefore, what do you observe from these two examples? Right, and why do you think I draw 2 big squares there? Yes, let's look at the first quadratic expression, x squared plus 6x plus 5. We can rewrite it as x squared plus the 6x. We can break it up into 3x plus 3x. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit this term x squared plus 3x into this square here. So my first term, if you were to remember the box method we have learned earlier on, okay, it's a continuation. It's completed square method is a continuation from the box method. We're going to fit this here, put this here, and put this here, right? So if you recall your box method, to get x squared, we take x times x. To get 3x here, I need the 3 here, and then I need the 3 here, right? And what do you think will be the values for the last small box? Yes, that will be 3 times 3 gives you 9. Okay, so therefore, we can factorize this x squared plus 3x to be bracket x plus 3 times x plus 3 minus 9. Because when you take x plus 3 times x plus 3, as what I've demonstrated up here, I would end up having x squared, 3x, and 3x, and a 9, right? However, what I have originally here, I only have x squared plus 3x plus 3x. Therefore, I need to take away my 9 to get back my x squared plus 3x plus 3x. Okay? And of course, not to forget, I have to continue my plus 5. Can't throw it away. So I can make this a completed square. Negative 9 plus 5 give me negative 4. So this is the answer that I've shown you here. It's the same answer. Okay? Right. Now let's look at the second example. For the second example, I'm given 2x squared plus 14x plus 5. So this is 2x squared. So I can't fit my 2x squared into a square. Why? What is the meaning of a square? A square means the length and the breadth must have the same value, right? So I can't have one that is x and the other guy 2x. or I can't have the breadth is x, the length is 2x, right? Then that will not make this a square, right? Okay, so therefore, what I need to do is I would have to factorize the 2 out. So from 2x squared plus 14x plus 5, I will need to factorize 2 from these two terms. So I will have x squared plus 7x, and then the 5 is the sidekick. Okay, so we just bring it along as a number that, you know, we have to take it along. All right, so now our job is to put this 2 guy into this box here, right? Which we can do it by having x squared and then 3.5x and 3.5x. Because 7x can be rewritten as 3.5x plus 3.5x. And like what we have done earlier on, I need an x here and an x here, then the 3.5 and the 3.5. So what would be, we use the same color so that it's less confusing. So what would be the value for this term here? Yes, that would be 3.5 multiplied by 3.5. And that gives you 12.25. Okay, right, so let's continue. So that will be equals to, we need a huge square bracket. So that will be, oh no, we don't need a square bracket yet. It's still a bracket. So that will be x squared plus 3.5x plus 3.5x plus 12.25. Oh dear. Okay. Okay, I'm going to continue here. So that gives you 2 bracket x squared plus 3.5x plus 3.5x minus 12.25. No, plus 12.25 minus 12.25. And then our sidekick plus 5. Okay, so that will give me, I need a huge square bracket because these 3 terms here can combine into x plus 3.5 squared. Okay, then minus 12.25 plus 5. And I need to multiply the 2 into our huge square bracket. So that will give us 2 bracket x plus 3.5 squared minus 12.25 times 2. Then plus our sidekick. So that you will end up getting, use a calculator to work it out, minus 19.5, which is the answer that I have shown there. All right, so when we use completing the square method, do we have to go through all these diagrams? No, the diagrams are for me to explain to you how the completed square method works. Right, so if you were to look at the features, you'll see that after applying the completed square method, right, you will have, it's in the form, this is different color, black color, okay. It's in the form a bracket x plus h close bracket to the power of 2 plus k. So your a, h, and k are real values. Like in this example here, is 1. Here the a is 2. Values of h is 3.5. Values of k is negative 19.5. So a completed square will have most of the time in this format. Okay, so the next slides I'm going to show you the shortcuts. Right, let's practice. Supposing we ask to factorize this, y equals to negative x squared plus 2x minus 3, let's say, using completing the square method. Right, so the first step we need to do would have to make the coefficients of x squared to be positive 1. If you were to recall the previous slides that the diagrams I've drawn for you, right, we need to make it x squared so that we can put in the box x times x. So the step number 1 is to factorize the negative out. And then negative 3 is our sidekick. Now, if you were to recall that we say that the all completed square form will be in this format. Okay, it could be this also. Right, it can be negative h or positive h depending on what is inside here. The operations inside this bracket here. If the sign inside this bracket here is negative, then of course it will be in this form. If it's a positive, then it will be in this form. Right, so we will do one with positive and one with negative, not to worry. Right, then the next step is we need a square bracket. Okay, right, so if you recall the the diagram that we have drawn, we have used to explain, remember the first questions that we have done, x squared plus 6x, we divide it into the 6x, we divide into 3x and 3x. And then this is 9, where we get 3 times 3, right? So the x squared plus 6x basically is just x squared plus 6x plus 9, then minus 9, right? Because I need to add, because x squared plus 6x is equivalent to x squared plus 6x plus 0, right? So to account for this 0, I add 9. 9 minus 9 will give me my 0. Okay, right. And so these 3 terms is equivalent to this square here, where it's actually equals to x plus 3 times x plus 3, right? And that will give you x plus 3 squared minus 9, right? Remember, this is how we do it, right? So how do you get this 3 here? This 3 here, it's I 6 divided by 2. I break out my 6x into 3x and 3x, right? That's how I get 3, right? And how do I get the 9? It's actually just 3 squared. Okay. So once you understand the method, you just practice a few times and then you should be able to solve any questions given to you. Okay, so let's go back to here. So therefore, I will need a bracket, right? And then x. So the operation here is negative, so this is minus. I take 2 divide by 2, that gives me 1. Okay, and then I square it. Then I take away 1 squared. Then my sidekick is still there. So now I multiply my negative in to the square bracket. So that gives me negative. Once you multiply the negative in the square bracket, you can just use curly bracket. So that will give me negative bracket x minus 1 squared negative, negative become positive. 1 squared is 1. Then my sidekick, negative 3. So 1 minus 3 will give you negative 2. So this is how we do it. Okay, let's have another example, not to worry. Let's have another example. Supposing I have 2x squared minus 2x plus 5, let's say. Okay. So step number 1 is we have to make the coefficients of x squared to be 1. We need to make the coefficients of x squared to be 1, so I need to factorize the 2 out. Okay. And then my sidekick plus 5. So this one here, it will become something squared, right? Minus something squared. Then my sidekick. Okay, so what is inside here will be just x. This is negative, negative, and then x means 1x. So I take 1 divided by 2, so that give me half. And then minus away square of your half. Okay, then the next thing is just multiply the 2 into the square bracket. Right, and then use a calculator to work this out. Okay, the important thing is that quite a few students make mistake, right? Not including the negative, right? So you will have to be careful. And then the first few times when you do it, probably you will make mistake. But do not be afraid of making mistake. Making mistakes will make us learn better next time. Because then you realize that, oh, this is the mistake I made. Then remind yourself that, okay, not to do it again. So don't be afraid of making mistake. Right, so this is how we do it. Right, so I'll be giving you some questions to practice at the next slide. So do try it out. Right, so these are some of the questions that you may want to practice doing. The answers are provided and they're colored in red. Right, we have come to the last part of the video, which is to solve a quadratic equation using completing the square method. So we asked to solve x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals to 0, giving answer correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, let's do it. So the first step is to check that the coefficients of x squared is 1. And yes, it is 1. So there's no need to factorize any factor. Now the next thing is that I'm going to move this negative 3 to the right hand side. Okay, this is the constant that is we're not going to use it yet in completing the square. So I'm just going to add 3 to both sides. So solving equation is slightly different from factorizing it. Okay, for factorization, you can't just throw the negative 3 to the right hand side because it's just an expression. Okay, let me explain. This one is an expression. So whatever you do, the negative 3 has to tag along, tag along, tag along. But this is an equation. An equation has something equal to something. There's the left hand side, there's the right hand side. Okay, there's equal there, equal there. That's why it's called equation. So therefore, I can just throw my negative 3 to the other side of the equation. For the expression, I cannot throw it anywhere. You know, it has to be there with the x squared plus 4x all the time. Okay? All right. So then I need to apply completing the square method for this. So if you have to remember, it's something squared, then minus something squared, right? So what is that? That will be x plus, the guy is plus is plus, and then 4x, 4 divided by 2, 2, then minus 2 squared. Okay? Right. So that will give us x plus 2 squared minus 4 equals to 3. And then we're going to add 4 to both sides again. That gives me 7. So this is this will remind us of the second slide or first slides, you know, solving equations of the form x plus, cannot remember what's the symbols I use there. Is it x plus a squared equals to s, something like that. All right, so the next step is it can be equals to positive square root 7 or negative square root 7. All right, so x is equals to, supposed to express your answer to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places is 0.65. Or negative 4.65. Okay, so that's how we do it, and that ends the video. Happy learning.